Secretary, welcome. Thank you for being here. Let me start by just talking about the BEAD program. In order for that program to be successful, we've got to encourage participation from all types of broadband providers, as long as they have met the objective, technical, financial, and operational standards set by NTIA. And any inclusion of burdensome requirements such as net neutrality, wholesale access, or rate regulations is only going to discourage participation. So I'd like to ask you to commit once again that you will follow the letter of the law and not add extraneous requirements as other agencies seem to be intent on doing with broadband money. Would you ensure that NTI carries out its duty and implements the BEAD program within the confines of the statute? And will you commit that NTI does not include net neutrality, wholesale access, or rate regulation requirements like other agencies have done?
Yes, let me speak to that. As you know, the statute expressly prohibits rate regulation, and I was heavily involved in negotiating that. So I understand the limits, and we will comply with the statute. Having said that, and we intend to work with all providers, whether that is electric utilities, middle mile providers, big ISPs, rural co-ops, et cetera. The President has been very clear that we have to make sure at the end of implementing this program, every American, every tribal lands, rural lands, et cetera, has access to high-speed, affordable internet. And so we are as focused on access as we are on affordability. And so we will be consistent with the statute without doing what we're not allowed to do, working with states who are developing their state plans to make sure that there are affordability provisions. And I believe that there are ways to do that which do not involve rate regulation or, violating the statute. But affordability is as important as access.
And I don't disagree, and I think that the key, in my view at least, is to not discourage providers from participating. You want to get as many, particularly those in unserved and underserved areas, to participate in the programs that are available. And I understand that the statute prevents rate regulation, but there's a lot of conversation around some of these other issues like net neutrality, which, if that was going to be included, ought to be done by the FCC, not other agencies of government. And so adding additional requirements, I think, is going to discourage participation. So I'm just
yes, I understand. The FCC, as you say, the FCC regulates net neutrality, not us. And listen, we are pro-competition. Right? Competition drives down prices. We are working hard to figure out how to structure this program to encourage competition, which benefits the consumer.
Right. Okay. As you know, 5G connectivities will require hundreds of thousands of small cells and other equipment, and deploying this infrastructure can be unnecessarily burdensome and lengthy, with multiple series of approvals required that lack certainty with respect to if and when a governmental entity will grant approval. The type of approvals required, fees imposed for deployment of networks can be particularly problematic, leading to delays in wireless infrastructure deployment, which is a particular concern as we seek to deploy 5G as rapidly as possible throughout the United States. And last Congress, I had introduced a piece of legislation called the Streamlined Small Cell Deployment Act to address many of these issues. And with all the funding that's being made available to construct and deploy fixed and mobile networks, do you support efforts to streamline permitting requests so that consumers can reap the benefits of these new technologies more quickly?
Yes, yes. I will say this, and I have firsthand experience with this as governor. A lot of the regulations and permitting requirements which will slow down broadband deployment are at the state and local level. And so, we are going to work with states to encourage them to provide simple things like access to telephone poles, dig once provisions. Right. This red tape absolutely stands in the way of rapid deployment, and so yes, I do support those efforts.
Good. We'll look forward to working with you on that, because it is something that I think acts as a deterrent to a lot of the build out that we're going to need to get these networks up and operating. Finally, my time's expiring here very quickly. How does the NTI plan to address coordination issues with other broadband programs such as those that are administered by the FCC, USDA, and Treasury?
Yeah, so I would say, in my 0 time, it is a challenge, we are on it. The President's appointed Mitch Landrieu to be the coordinator across all of the agencies, and I can assure you, we do meet regularly, myself with Secretary Vilsack and his team, Secretary Holland, and we are requiring in every state plan that they show us how they are planning to use in every state all of their federal money. So we're going to have it all in one place so we can see it, so we can try to coordinate. But I will grant you, it is a real challenge.
Thank you, Madam Chair.